Hello, world. Imagine the scene here in this first reading for a moment. So here's St. Paul. He's in Lystra. He's preaching. The Jews, they aren't at all too fond of Paul ever since he converted to be a Christian, and they decided to follow him there. And then after some convincing, they get the crowds to decide to stone Paul. Now, I've certainly never been in a position of being stoned by a crowd. The closest I've probably gotten is during my high school soccer days, getting hit up pretty hard by soccer balls. So I can only imagine how physically excruciating that would have probably been for Paul to have rocks pelted at him from all sides and then to be dragged out of the city and left for dead because they for all intents and purposes, thought he was dead. It's possible that Paul, he was maybe a bit unconscious for that later part of the stoning, and while he was being dragged out of the city, and he was probably in quite a bit of pain when he came to his senses. Literally every ounce of his flesh was screaming within him, telling him just to give up. And as these disciples gathered around him, they were probably shocked at first when they discovered that he wasn't dead. But then what were they thinking? Thoughts like, is he okay? What is he going to do? Is he going to go back up? Is he going to keep preaching? What's he going to say? I think in this moment, as Paul is laying there on the ground, looking up at all these disciples surrounding him, in this moment, the truth of the gospel is really at stake. Because as Paul looks up and sees this crowd gathering around him, asking these questions inside, will Paul keep going? Will he give up? I don't think Paul was unaware that the faith of at least some of these disciples was riding on what he would do next. So as unbearable as the pain may have been, he got back up and he went right back into the city. And as the book of Acts recounts, he and others continued to preach, and many more disciples were made. And I think I can personally relate to St. Paul in this moment, in this sense, because I know that I'm often aware of situations in my own life where I feel that others are watching for my response, particularly when I get knocked down from one thing or another. I certainly am not sitting here claiming to respond with perfection or to always to respond as fast as I should with immediacy, but I am often aware that either in the moment or afterward that the faith of others is often riding in a sense on my shoulders. And knowing this truth, this is often encouragement for me to get back up, no matter how many times I may feel like I am knocked down, because I believe in Jesus' power to save me. So as Christians, people watch us, not just non-Christians watching Christians, but other Christians watch us, other disciples. And then when we ourselves go through hardship, we're being watched all the more. But this can be a very good thing. Because if we get back up when we hit distress and trial, because we believe so powerfully in Jesus and his power to save us, then others might too be encouraged to trust that Jesus' peace and love can reach the depths of their distress and trials. Just consider for a moment the individuals that you have looked up to as Christian examples in your life. Have you seen them struggle? True, they may not do so perfectly all the time, but they probably don't despair when things get tough. They probably get back up and they keep on going. And hopefully your own faith is strengthened as a result. So our struggles, when we encounter them in our own lives, these are not only tests of faith for us, but depending upon our response to these trials, the faith of others can also be either torn down or built up and encouraged, especially for those around us whose faith is weak. So what is your response when you get hit with trials? I believe the invitation from today's readings is the Lord is inviting us to get back up and to keep going. It's just the same as St. Paul, just the same as our Lord Jesus did himself. And even if whatever forces are out there, even if they do their worst, Have confidence that Jesus can raise you up on the last day. Know that your perseverance will be both to your benefit and the benefit of all those around you.